Right, hello. It is almost Christmas. I've got a few days left, so this is probably going to be my last video before Christmas.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas.
So with this one, I just thought I'd give an update of everything that I've done to the bike since owning the bike, and I think I got the bike delivered on the 1st of November. I just want to also say thank you to everybody that follows the channel and subscribes to the YouTube channel, and for those watching this on TikTok, yeah, thank you to all your support as well. I've tried to keep a little bit of content flowing over the during the bad weather while we're not out riding, but obviously the content is a lot more slower and few and far between. Apparently somebody told me that the Christmas period there's going to be a bit of a dry spell, so who knows, we might be able to get out and do some riding, and I might be able to finally fine-tune my suspension and make that video that I've been dying to make now for weeks. So fingers crossed for that. So I'm also going to give you two fantastic sources of information. For every biker out there, I'm going to recommend two YouTube channels that you absolutely need to watch if you want to learn anything about bikes. These guys are far more knowledgeable than I am. But of course, I'm always happy to share what I do know. So if anybody has any ideas or questions, or if there's anything you want me to do in a video, anything you want me to make in a video, anything you want me to talk about, then please just let me know, drop a comment, and I will try to do my best. If it's beyond my knowledge and expertise, I'll probably signpost you if I can to somebody who might be able to help you. But if I know the answer to your question, or if I can help, then I absolutely will. So yeah, I got the bike delivered on the 1st of November, and one of the first things I needed to do, I rode it a couple of times and it was running okay, then I discovered a slight fueling issue. Now, hat off to the dealer, because as soon as I told him about the issue, he was like, yeah, no problem, I'll pay for it, we'll get it sorted. So he didn't fight me on it at all. So really good dealer. And he then paid for spark plugs and fuel filter and air filter, so that was all done. And yeah, it's running sweet. I've only actually ridden it once properly since owning it. You know, I've been out on a couple of shorter rides, but I've only ridden it properly once, and that really wasn't in anger, so to speak. So I can't wait till we get some proper decent weather. Maybe it won't be too long now, and I can get out and ride properly. So that was done. I fitted new tyres to it, because when I bought it, would you believe, the tyres on there were new-ish. Well, they looked new, they hadn't been used, but they were dated 2016. So a top tip for you folks is that check the date of your tyres. If you buy a bike and it's got tyres on there, just check the date. Or even if you buy new tyres, you know, sometimes you might get a batch of old stock or tyres from an old batch. Just check the date. The general rule of thumb is that if the tyre is more than 5 years old, I wouldn't use it. The manufacturers recommend 10 years. That's 5 years in storage and then 5 years on the bike. So 10-year lifespan, safe lifespan. But that's providing that first 5 years in storage, the tyres have been stored in a, let's say, a climate controlled environment where they're not subjected to, you know, hot, cold weather and then sunlight, etc., and damp and all the rest of it. So we can never be 100% how tyres are stored. We just don't know. So personally, I go by a 5-year rule. If the tyres are 5 years old or more, I'll get rid of them, I'll fit new ones. So I went for Michelin Pilot Power 2 CT. The ones that were on it were Pirelli Rosso Diablo 3s. Now, I've ridden with those tyres before, so even if they were in date, I probably would have swapped them anyway, because for me the Pirellis are a little bit harder, take a little bit longer to warm up. I just prefer Michelins, right? And everybody's got their preferences, I know, but I prefer Michelins. And the Pilot Power 2 CTs they're quite old. Well, they're not old, but their design has been around for a long time, and there are newer versions. But for the price point and the performance, you know, balance the price and the performance, I think they're a fantastic sports bike tyre. So I did those. I've given her an oil change because I don't normally store the bike away for winter properly, because I will ride if there's an odd dry day, but because of the weather has been wetter than an otter's pocket for, you know, a couple of months now. So the chances of getting out doing much riding is slim. So I thought, well, I'll winter prep it anyway. And what I've done with that winter prep is I've given the bike a really good clean. The bodywork, the frame, the exhaust, underneath the tank, the airbox, the front of the engine block in between the manifold and the engine block, you know, completely sort of degreased and cleaned. And it wasn't dirty anyway, to be fair. It was pretty clean, but there was a little bit of build-up of road grime in a couple of places that I just used some muck off degreaser, got that off. Cleaned underneath cleaned inside the battery tray, which was just a little bit dusty. Again, it wasn't dirty because this bike was in great condition anyway. So yeah, just spent a bit of time just cleaning it. So when the spring does come along, I know everything's done and I can just focus on enjoying riding it, right? Brake pads are good. I've checked the brake pads. They won't need to be replaced for some time yet. I fitted new grips as well. I made a video actually asking for people's opinions, because the grips were the black domino grips with blue writing, and I was in two minds whether to get the same, because the ones that were on it were a little bit worn, or go for my all-time favourite grey Renthal grips. So I decided to go for the grey grips because, well, I like the look of them. They look quite racy, and I like the feel of them. They're a little bit thinner than most other grips, so for me that gives me a really good sort of sense of control and good sense of feel over what the bike's doing underneath me. What else have I done? I've put some fuel stabilizer in the fuel tank, and when you do that, as a top tip, fill your tank right to the top, or put the stabilizer in first and then fill it. Either way, slosh it around a little bit, and then just run the bike for 5 minutes just to get that fuel stabilizer mix sort of flowing through the whole fuel system, and then turn it off and leave it. The only other time the bike has ran since I did that was when I did the oil change, because obviously you need to warm the bike up before you drain the oil, and then you need to run it very shortly, very briefly, once you're topping up the oil, just to get the right level. So that was done. The oil change as well as a top tip. If you are winter storing your bike, my personal preference is always to change the oil before you winter store it. It's much healthier for the engine to have clean oil in there rather than old oil. If your oil has done a few thousand miles already and then it's sitting in the bike for a few months, the anti-corrosion properties inside oil are going to diminish, they're going to break down. So, you know, oil does more than just lubricate the engine. It prevents corrosion, it, you know, keeps it clean in there as possible. So new oil is better if it's just going to be sat there for you know, a few months. I know that everybody's got the personal preference. I'm not saying you have to, but if you want to be belt and braces, new oil before storage. What else have I done? I've removed the battery, so the battery is now indoors in a nice warm dry place. Many people use a battery optimizer and keep their battery plugged into that. That's absolutely fine, there's nothing wrong with that. I just never have. I've never left the bike long enough personally to warrant having to do that. And in the 20 odd, maybe 30 years of riding bikes, I've only ever once had a battery diminish over the winter period to the point where I needed to replace it. And what, 40-50 quid for a battery? Yeah, it's not a massive cost. But you know, I'm not saying don't use an optimizer. Go for it. They are fantastic bits of kit. I've just never really needed to buy one. But you can use an optimizer, keep your battery healthy. But what I will do though is I will get a voltmeter on the battery before I refit it and start riding again, just to make sure that, and I might do a video on that actually, you know, checking your battery health, because there's a couple of things. It's not just testing it once and that's it. There's a couple of things you can look at. So I might make a video on that come spring, unless we get out before that. But yeah, but my battery is indoors. I've put anti-corrosion protection on all the metal parts, the exhaust, all the nuts and bolts, etc., to minimise the chance of corrosion. I've put dielectric grease on my electrical connections just to prevent any moisture getting in there. and obviously cleaned and lubed the chain. Top tip: when you do lube your chain for winter storage, just use chain lube. There's no need to use anti-corrosion spray on your chain. Chain lube is designed to keep out the moisture and the dirt and the grime. Chain lube isn't really designed to lubricate the chain because the roller's already lubricated and then sealed with O-rings or X-rings. You can help the lubrication a little tiny bit and a couple of places where, near the O-rings where the original grease isn't sort of, the coverage isn't complete. That's really bad English. So yeah, it is partially for lubrication, but mainly it's for protection of the chain. So a little bit of extra chain lube than you would normally use just to protect it in the winter, and then it shouldn't rust. And if it does, give it a bit of a clean and then a reapply lube. Right, I'm trying to keep this video quite short because I know it's just a waffle video really. But yeah, okay, let's get to the two sources of information, folks, that I would recommend every biker has a look at. So there's two YouTube channels, Superbike Surgery and the Mobile Motorbike Mechanic. Those two guys are fantastic. I learned so much from them. If you want to learn how to do even simple jobs or even sometimes more complicated jobs on your bike, or you just want to learn about bikes, how carburetors work, how the fuel injection system works, how a gearbox works. If you want to learn that stuff, watch those channels. They are awesome guys. They really know what they're doing, especially Superbike Surgery. So Jim from Superbike Surgery, brilliant, and yeah, his videos are amazing. So if you're a bit bike geeky, then check those two channels out. Unfortunately, Steve from the Mobile Motorbike Mechanic is in hospital at the moment. I don't know if anyone's seen it. He put a YouTube video on just as an update, and unfortunately he's got cancer. So wishing Steve and his family all the best. I don't know the guy, but yeah, it's such a shame to hear that. I think there's a GoFundMe page for him as well if you wanted to donate, but I'm not trying to push people into sending money. I'm not doing that. I'm just letting you know that exists, and unfortunately letting you know about his condition. But they are brilliant guys, and their content is fantastic, far more knowledgeable than I ever will be, because I'm not a bike mechanic. So what else? Yeah, I think that's it really. So looking forward to getting out and actually doing some riding. In the meantime, folks, if you want any videos made, if you want me to speak about anything, you want me to cover anything or show you anything, just drop a comment drop a question in the comments, and I will do my best. But for now, have a fantastic Christmas, folks, and I'll see you all back on the channel soon.